Hi there Waltineers, I'm Jack and this is DSNY Newscast, and over the past few months we've talked a lot about the big expansion projects that are going to be coming to Walt Disney World over the next few years, and that's obviously Tropical Americas, Cars, Monsters Inc. and Villains Land, and all of that was announced back at D23 in August. But also announced at D23 in August were a lot of big expansion projects coming to the Disneyland Resort as well, with it all being primarily focused on expanding Disney California Adventure, as Disney's really looking to build out this park in a big way over the next 5 years. And so what I want to do today is talk about these various expansion projects of Avatar, Coco and Avengers in that order in the video, and discuss exactly where they're going to be located at California Adventure, and then also discuss the latest in terms of the rumoured details for these various projects as well. So with all of that being said today, where I want to begin is easily the project that will have the greatest impact on California Adventure in terms of its theme, and that is Avatar. As over the years we've seen quite a few expansions at California Adventure, but they've always been loosely tied back to that overarching theme of California in some way. But when it comes to the Avatar land that they're going to be building within this park, it's very distinctly going to be departing from that California theme, as it's clearly set within the alien world of Pandora, and it's not tied back to California anyway. So I think that when it's all said and done and Avatar Land opens, I think we might also be looking at a name change for the park as well. And personally, I think that a good suggestion would be keep the initials the same, DCA, as that's what the locals like to call it, but just call it something like Disney Cinematic Adventure instead, as then that way you keep the initials the same and also you provide the opportunity to really expand the park in the next 10 to 20 years with the Disneyland Forward proposal outside of the berm, with all new things that don't necessarily have to be tied back to California. So it opens up all kinds of new opportunities there as well and possibilities. But anyway, now coming back to what was actually shown at D23 for this land, and they gave us a lot of artwork for what they want to do with this land, and it really gives us a good understanding of the scale and scope of what they're aiming to do. But when we got this artwork, it was shown on stage and it was also released as a Disney Parks blog article. Now, the main piece of artwork, which is the overview piece of artwork that you can see here, was kind of a low resolution piece of artwork. But since then, I've managed to find a higher resolution of this artwork that we can really dive into in a great way here. And so that's what you can see here on the screen right now. And this isn't blue sky artwork. This is definitely overview artwork of what they want to do in terms of the layout of the land. Now, obviously, if we zoom in loads, we can see there's a lot of artistic license being used, and it's not really done in great detail in terms of the exact things besides the main icon of the land, but it's still very useful to get a good understanding of what they're aiming to do. And we can see that the main icon of the land is the Cove of the Ancestors from Avatar 2 Way of Water. And that's going to be the main icon, much like the Floating Mountains is over in Pandora Animal Kingdom. And this is going to be the thing that draws people further in to this Avatar land, is the Cove of the Ancestors there. And so it is going to be narratively themed after Avatar 2 Way of Water, but it's also going to be making references as well to the future parts of the franchise, like Avatar 3 and Fire and Ash and stuff like that, as by the time that this land eventually does open, Avatar 3 will have already been released, so they're making references to that as well within the land. But then, as we can see in the bottom part of the artwork, this building down here very much looks like an RDA building. This is set after all of the events of Avatar, the movie franchise, but the remnants of the RDA building have been left behind. And then in the bottom right hand corner we can see a building that's very reminiscent of Satuli Canteen from Pandora World Avatar over in Animal Kingdom. So clearly they're borrowing from certain things in Pandora over in Animal Kingdom, bringing them into this land, but it's definitely going to be its own unique version of an Avatar land, as we can see just the sheer amount of water that's going to be used within this land as well. It should look spectacular at night with that whole bioluminescent look to it as well. But now let's talk about what will be within the land, and this is where we get some rumoured details, as this hasn't been confirmed, but back in March and April of this year, I did say that the location of where this will be within California Adventure was going to be that corner of the park with the Hollywood Land area and the backlot area over in that corner where Monsters Inc. is. And that is still where I'm hearing that this Avatar Land is going to be going, in that corner of the park over there. So unless something's changed, that's where I would expect this Avatar Land to be. And for the attraction, it's very clearly a boat ride attraction, but this will be an e-ticket boat ride attraction that will most likely be using the same exact magnetic boat ride technology that was first shown and used in the Pirates of the Caribbean Battle for Sunken Treasure attraction over at the Shanghai Disneyland Park. And speaking of that, let's talk about the artwork that was released for the interior of this attraction on the actual boat ride itself. And in this piece of artwork, we can see that majestic moment where the Tolkien has leapt out the water there, and that's that kind of whale-like creature from Avatar 2: Way of Water. But that's not going to be an animatronic, most likely. What we're looking at here, I reckon, is a projection dome scene, and I think that this is going to be using the same exact effect, most likely, as that scene in Battle for Sunken Treasure over in Shanghai, where you begin at the bottom of the ocean floor, and then they kind of rise you up to the top of the ocean surface, and then all of a sudden, you're within the battle sequence of Pirates of the Caribbean. I think there'll be that kind of same projection dome being used here with the boat ride, and it might, instead of taking us up the top, we might dive down below with the Tolkien as the Tolkien dives below. And so I reckon that's what we're looking at within this artwork. Then in the next piece of artwork, we have this very eerie, intimidating scene of these viper wolves kind of surrounding the boat itself, and these will most likely be animatronic figures. And then in this last piece of artwork here, this wasn't actually released as part of the Parks blog article. It was shown on stage, but they've released it since. And as we can see, this is just an incredible bioluminescent, beautiful scene that we'll be traveling through here. And over on the right hand side, we can see a Na'vi stood there that will probably be an animatronic figure. And over on the left hand side of the boat, we can also see a hammerhead teotanther, which I probably maybe messed up the pronunciation of there. But, you know, this will be an incredible scene as well. And apparently, James Cameron has been challenging Walt Disney Imagineering to really push the boundaries of what's possible within a theme park environment and a theme park attraction with this new Avatar Land and Avatar Ride, and wanting, you know, new technology and new effects and new illusions and all kinds of great use of force perspective to really build out this grandiose scale within this attraction that we've never seen before. And in addition to that, there's also been an interesting rumour that apparently there might not just be one attraction within the show building, but there was early talk apparently of maybe doing 2 attractions within the same show building. I know that kind of sounds crazy, but the way that it would work is apparently you'd have the boat ride handling huge capacity as the major e-ticket boat ride experience and delivering the whole experience of the show building, but then also potentially having a kind of suspended Peter Pan style ride system up at the top of the show building that will then take guests on a shorter version of the attraction, but then you can see all the themed environments from a different perspective looking down into the attraction instead. And so that's apparently some of the talk that's gone on in terms of trying to think outside of a box of what they can do with this attraction, get more, you know, bang for their buck from this attraction. This is going to be such a large attraction show building. But I'm a bit dubious about this because oftentimes things like this do fall off the table because of the complexity of doing something like that and the logistical nightmare that it might cause as well. As when it came to Pandora over in Animal Kingdom, you may not know it, but like both of those attractions, Flight of Passage is stacked on top of part of Na'vi River Journey, and they kind of share the same show building, or at least you can see it from the Google Earth imagery that I'm showing here, which means that when one attraction needs to be evacuated or has a major issue or power issue or something like that, they need to evac both rides, so it's double downtime. But then again, when it's up operating as normal, you've got all that additional capacity. So they have done this kind of thing before with Pandora, where they kind of built 2 rides within the same show building. So that's where I'm like, maybe it could happen, but it is just a rumor at this time, and you know, that could end up not happening. But I think it's still interesting that they would even consider a kind of double layer to this attraction and have that kind of kinetic energy within the attraction scenes as well. But then also, we haven't spoken about the size of this show building. As for what they want to do with this, it's going to require a lot of space. Now, I've already said that it's going to go roughly in that Hollywood Land backlot area over there. And they've got roughly 4.5 to 5 acres to work with if they just remove Stage 17, Hollywood and Dine and the Monsters Inc. ride and clear out all of that area over there. But if they also remove the Hyperion Theatre, which is also been part of the rumours recently, is that Hyperion Theatre might be going as well as part of this Avatar Land, then they would have approximately anywhere between 6 to 7 acres to work with for this Avatar Land. Now, that is still smaller than what Pandora the World of Avatar is over in Animal Kingdom, as that land is around 10 to 11 acres in size. But they are kind of restricted with how much they can expand this corner of California Adventure within the existing footprint, as it is a landlocked resort in terms of how far they can expand out there. And this is actually the size of that 125,000 square foot Shanghai Pirates show building within the same location. So you can see how they could need to remove Hyperion Theatre to fit a show building that size into that space. And the Hyperion Theatre is a very tall show building, so if they were to leave it in place, you'd need to really theme it extensively to try and hide it from within the land itself. So most likely I reckon Hyperion Theatre might be on the chopping block here. But then the other two things to consider here is the animation building. And there's rumours that maybe they might be looking to convert or demolish and rebuild in that same location another expansion to Avengers Campus at some point in the future, maybe bringing over a version of the Ant-Man ride or the Iron Man ride from Hong Kong Disneyland over to Avengers Campus. I think the animation building would cause issues for Avatar, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with that building in terms of sightlines. And then also the monorail is going straight through that area. Now, it's unclear what their plan is with the monorail at this time, but you could either hide it behind some sort of elaborate rock work with the Cove of the Ancestors in that kind of location there, or you could put it inside an enclosed tunnel so it can't be visible from the land itself. And the other option would be to relocate the monorail and reroute it round the land itself, which would cost a lot in money and preparation time before they can even start building the attraction. So I would prefer them to just kind of mask the monorail and hide it some way as it goes through the land and get building this Avatar Land as soon as possible. And so that's everything in terms of Avatar, but now let's move over to the other side of the park and talk about the Coco Ride that was announced at D23. Now this one was a bit of a shock in terms of the Coco Ride coming to Disney California Adventure, as leading up to D23 I'd heard rumours of a Coco attraction also being in the works for Magic Kingdom, which fell off the table quite a few months before D23, but still it was in contention at some point in the year before D23. But a Coco boat ride is going to be coming to Disney California Adventure, and it's going to be seemingly located behind the back of Pixar Pier. Now, this is what insiders are saying is going to be the location of it, and they're going to be using the bandstand entrance area of Pixar Pier as kind of the entrance to this Coco attraction. So you'd enter the Coco attraction off Pixar Pier, which would make sense with it being Pixar and Coco. And there's actually plenty of room behind Pixar Pier there if they were to remove some of the existing, backstage infrastructure for parades and stuff like that and relocate them somewhere else within the property itself. But you could easily fit a show building the size of around 60 to 70,000 square feet within that space. And just to give a good understanding of this, Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland is around 80,000 square feet. So they've got quite a good size show building they could build there for the attraction. And it was mentioned within the article that they are taking inspiration from Pirates of the Caribbean and Haunted Mansion for this attraction in terms of the classic Disney dark rides for this Coco attraction. I think what they're referring to there with mentioning those two attractions is that one's a boat ride like Pirates of the Caribbean where you sail through it and there's so much going on all around you, and it's like a cocktail party of conversations and things being said, and there's so much to take in. But also, mentioning Haunted Mansion, obviously we're going to be travelling through the Day of the Dead, so there's going to be a lot of skeletons and stuff like that. And also both of those attractions have a heavy use of animatronics, and within the Parks blog article, they did say that there's going to be a lot of animatronic figures within this Coco attraction. So very interesting from that standpoint, but also the 60,000 square foot show building that you could put within this location behind Pixar Pier, right next to Midway Mania, is actually the same size as the Mexico Pavilion at Epcot. Not just the Grand Fiesta Tour part of the attraction, which is around 45,000 square feet, but the entirety of the Mexico Pavilion, which is around 60,000 square feet. So you could fit the whole of the Mexico Pavilion behind Pixar Pier. I'm not saying that's what they're doing, I'm just saying for size comparison, that's how much space they've got to work with there. So I think there's going to be quite a sizable attraction. It's going to be roughly around 8 minutes of boat ride within this attraction here. Other rumours to mention at this time is that Emotional Whirlwind on Pixar Pier, with them moving forward with Coco as part of Pixar Pier, they're going to need more space for the queue and the overflow space for the attraction. And Emotional Whirlwind kind of sits right there next to where that bandstand area is, and that spinner ride might be taken away and used as additional queue space in that area there on Pixar Pier, because they know that this Coco boat ride will do a lot more in terms of capacity than a rethemed Flix Flyers spinner attraction as Emotional Whirlwind. That uses up quite a bit of space on Pixar Pier. Even though they have spent money on it, they know that Coco will offer more return on investment in terms of bringing people to the park. So that's maybe going to be removed, Emotional Whirlwind. We'll see what they do with that. And then also with the rumours, there's talk of Paradise Garden Grill and Boardwalk Pizza and Pasta also getting some sort of new Mexican food offerings and stuff like that, and becoming a kind of Coco transformation of that area as well, beyond Pixar Pier as well. So I think it would be fantastic. Great Mexican food in that part of Disney California Adventure. And then where does that leave Goofy's Sky School with this whole thing? And apparently that might also be on the chopping block at some point in the future at California Adventure. There's no rumours at the moment indicating what might replace it, but yeah, Goofy's Sky School might be removed as well in the future and make space for something else. We don't know yet, but less certain with what's actually going to replace that. But obviously Coco is going to be very important as well to act as kind of an anchor point as they're looking to expand California Adventure over the next 10, 20 years with the Disneyland Forward proposal across South Disneyland Drive and into the downtown Disney parking lot area over there. So to have Coco be where it is, it will draw people to that part of the park, so therefore they can then eventually expand over to the other part of the parking lot area to then expand California Adventure with whatever they want to do in the next 10 to 20 years. So Coco is very important. And then lastly, we also need to talk about Avengers Campus and the expansion that's going to be coming to that part of the park as well. Now, on stage, it was said that they're going to be doubling Avengers Campus in size. Now, as I currently measure it, I measure Avengers Campus to be around 4.5 acres, which means that if they are to double it in size, that'd be up to 9 acres. So an additional 4.5 acres into the expansion area, which is at the back of that Avengers HQ part of Avengers Campus there. So that's where they'll be expanding round the back of Mission Breakout. Now, as we can see in this new overview artwork that they've released, it does go fairly far back within that area, and much of the Infinity Defense area seems to be going towards the back area of Mission Breakout into that direction over there, and it will be a fairly sizable show building, as this is going to be a e-ticket motion simulator based attraction that will be traveling through physical set pieces and physical show spaces, but using that kind of blended physical media and digital media that's been used in the Peter Pan Neverland attraction over at Fantasy Springs at Tokyo Disney Sea. And we can also see that the ride vehicle for Infinity Defense is also very much that same ride vehicle from the Peter Pan attraction over at Tokyo Disney Sea. So that's what we're aiming at looking at here with this kind of Infinity Defense attraction. And it's going to blend together better than what we've seen before. So the physical theming and the show set pieces and stuff like that are going to move at the same pace and the same speed and interact with the digital media that you can see in the projection screens as well. And it's also going to be using a new type of 3D glass technology for it as well. But they're going to need quite a sizable show building for that, into that space there. And then you've also got the Start Flight Lap, which, despite it being basically a flat ride with that KUKA arm technology, it's going to require quite a sizable space footprint within the area to actually have that kind of flat ride within the area there. So that's going to expand off in the direction more towards Cars Land back there as well. And so that's everything in terms of the 3 big expansion projects that are going to be coming to Disney California Adventure within the next 5 years. And the reason why I say the next 5 years is that it's not been widely reported all too much, but the media in attendance were told by Disney that all of these projects should be complete within the next 5 years, which means, being generous to Disney, by the end of 2029 at the very latest, all of these projects, both Walt Disney World, Disneyland Resort, even Disneyland Paris, should all be wrapped up within the next 5 years. But anyways, with that being said, it's over to you, the Waltineers, as I would like to know, what are your thoughts and opinions on how Disney California Adventure is going to be changing in the next 5 years with these expansion projects? And what would you like to see from these projects if you could flesh them out in a bigger way, or even change them out for something else if you think they're going in the wrong direction with any of these various projects and that you'd rather see them do something different with these expansion locations within California Adventure? And of course, if you're new to this channel, be sure to subscribe down below and hit the notification bell so you stay up to date with all the latest on the channel here. And also, if you haven't already, be sure to go follow me over on Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, Twitter, all of that sort of stuff over on social media as well. And also, I'd like to say a special thank you to the official Waltineer Club over on Patreon for always supporting the channel and helping make everything possible over here. And also a massive shout out to the official Waltineer Gold members that you can see here on the screen as well as the official Waltineer Diamond members, Kyle Mahan, Justin Tupper, JC Russell and Tim Parsons. And with all that being said for today, I've been Jack, you've been you, and I'll see you real soon.